Hopefully this camera view will work out okay, doing it with my cell phone. So what I have here is 300-pound monofilament. You can make fluorocarbon leaders. I got some made like 80 pounds, 60 pound, 100 pound, 130, 200, made some 400. So what I do is I cut me about 22 feet of this. Okay. I'm gonna take a razor blade and I kind of trim this up some and shave it off so that I can get a little point on it. And I take a Dacron hollow core rigging needle here, or whatever you want to call it. I put my hollow core braid on, stuff like that on my reels. And you're gonna send it up inside. Now this is 200, 300 pound needle. And I'm gonna work it in real tight right there so it don't pull out easy. I do have a 300, 400 pound needle, but it seems to be a little loose and not sure it wouldn't fall out. So what I do is I go back to this loop I had made in part 1 video, and I come down here and I find where the doubled end ends, okay, which is right there, all right? I'm gonna be sending this mono all the way up to that. So what I typically do is I put about 2 foot in. I'm told you normally you ain't gotta have but about 1 foot in there. So I'll go down, because this is gonna shrink up when I insert this. I go down a little bit past my 2 foot mark, and that's where I will send my hollow core needle with the mono up inside there. And I'll show you what this jig is in a minute. So now I'm going to take this and start it. And I hope you can see this in the video. And I got it started. And just like before, I'm going to take where I'm sending this out, and I'm going to lay it out in front of me, and I'm going to kind of angle it down. I normally do this at a high top stool and a desk or workbench, so it's a lot easier to angle down. And I just send this up through there. And by some chance, if you mess up and you poke it through the side, you're not hurting it. You just slide it back and start over. Sometimes you get a little bit of a weave or kink the threads or something in there, and it hardens, it gets hard to go through. And you just start back over. And you just pile as much of it up as you can as you're going on. I never push the needle in. I pull the Dacron or hollow core over, okay? If you push the needle in, you will push it through the side. And what I do is I grab that bunched up there and I just start working it down. See, it just went right over that mono. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull that mono right up inside here. And you just massage it down. Don't let it build up too much on you to bind up. You just keep pulling it down. And once I get down here, just past where I'm not going to keep pulling it down, because I got to pull this needle all the way out and get this mono up in here in just a minute. So I'm going to leave some bunched up. Whoops. So I pulled right through just before where that double is. All right, there we go. I'm at that double. Now I'm going to push that right through. Now what I'm going to do is pull this down the needle, ease it up. And when I get to that mono right there, because I had put a tip on there, I like to pull it out. And that tip, I just feel like it's a little sharp. I'll cut it back off again and make it blunt. Now it's blunt up on there. We slide that in there. I hold on to it right there and I massage this down, okay? Now what you'll see is right there's where the mono is. That's where the double Dacron ends. That's where the mono is. There's very little gap. And as you see, I'm right at 2 foot long. I'm about 1 inch short of 2 foot. Not a big deal. Now here's where this jig comes in. And when I'm done, I'll pick up the camera and show you what I'm doing. I'll take this clamp loose right here. Where that mono goes in, I will put it right up here onto that Dacron and I lock it down. I made this homemade thing. I just screwed that to the boards. I clamped this to the table. There's another one at the other end, you can't see it in the video. But then what I do is I pull this out and I stretch it real tight and let it bend that one at my right hand end over, and I lock it down. And once I got it locked down, now I got this. Now here's the problem with this. This will slide up and down on here. You got to be careful. You don't want to slide it back down. You want to leave this up on there. So I get my little super glue, little crazy glue. By the way, I'm over here babysitting my son's 2 dogs, and they got a little excited out there about something. And I just put me just a little dab of glue right there. Not much. I just put just a little dab of glue there, and we're gonna half hitch this. Now, I'm gonna use the glue a little more in a minute. You can do this several ways. Some of the smaller, like 130 and 80 pound, I use a PR bobbin. I mean, you can finish with half hitches. You can take rigging floss and finish it. You don't have to have all this tag in. So that's one half hitch. Go the same way each time with the half hitch. Hold your finger tight, come there. And I get about 3 or 4, and then I'll really pull on it really hard and lock it in good. That's 1, 2, 3, that's number 4. And now what I'm gonna do I got it locked in pretty good right there. I like to dab just a touch more glue. Don't think you got to do this at all, to be honest with you. I think you'd be fine without it. I just don't like my knots slipping. Gets on your finger, but all you got to do is let it harden up a little bit and it'll peel right off. Just don't touch your lip like I did the other night. I'm not at my normal rigging table, so I'm going to be careful not to get glue on my son's table here. Yeah. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 or 10 would probably be enough. I typically do 20. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm putting my hand here because I don't want to jerk everything loose. 14, 15, 16. And in just a second, I'm going to show you how this thing worms around the line. 18, 19, 20. And I go back and I put a little glue on here again. And I just go all the way down it. I don't know, it's just it's the way I was showed to do it. So I'm going to do it. I'm not going to change what's already been working. No need me to prove someone different or wrong. All right, so now we got to finish this. Probably will hold just fine like that, but we'll use a whipping knot or a finishing knot. I don't know, whatever you want to call the damn thing. You just come over 4 times. I hold my loop. See, that's 1, 2, 3. One more. All right, and then I just hold this up on here, and I roll this back. Be careful not to get it, stuck in the glue. Most of the time it won't hold. And I take those little loops, and I take them out. Then I hold it up here like this, and I pull this back through, and it makes just a little bit of a ramp there. It's pretty thick, that Dacron. I lock her down good. Razor blade. Whoops. Hold it tight, cut it right off. It's nice and strong there. A little dab of glue right there won't hurt again. Take and rub it in. All right, it's already hardened up on my fingers. So now I'm gonna grab the phone and show you what we got here, okay? So that's my homemade jig. All I did, 2x4 onto a piece of, I guess that's a 1x6. Screwed it on. Same thing at that end. I got it on there. They make a fancy little jig. I mean, you can spend that $300 if you want. I'm just too cheap for it. I got my markings on here for all the different rigs I use it for. So here's how it kind of worms around. You see that right there? And that's how those half hitches do. You want them to continue around the same way. That's why you don't reverse your half hitch back and forth. I'm assuming that's the way I was told and instructed to do it. And that's a strong wind on.